Let me ask you something right now. How long do you want to keep trading your time for money? How long do you want to wake up worried about bills, stuck in the same cycle of work, spend, stress, repeat? Be honest with yourself. Because if you don't decide today to break free, then tomorrow will look exactly like yesterday. And that's not freedom, that's a prison disguised as a paycheck. Here's the truth, financial freedom is not about winning the lottery. It's not about being born rich, and it's not about luck, it's about rules. There are principles, timeless, unshakable, undeniable, that separate those who struggle from those who thrive. And if you ignore them, life will punish you with stress, scarcity with a ceiling on your dreams. But if you live by them, you'll step into a life where money is no longer your master. It becomes your servant. So today I'm going to share with you 3 rules, not theories, not motivational fluff. 3 rules that every financially free person on this planet has mastered, whether they knew it or not. And if you take these rules and not just hear them, but live them, you'll never look at money the same way again. But here's the warning. If you tune out, if you think you already know, if you let distraction steal this moment, you'll walk away with the same old story. But if you stay with me, if you lean in, if you're hungry for more than survival, what you're about to hear could be the turning point of your entire financial future. Before we even talk about dollars and cents, before we even consider bank accounts, investments, or assets, we need to address the foundation, the mindset. Because here's the truth, your financial life right now is not a reflection of the economy, not a reflection of luck, not a reflection of circumstance. It's a reflection of your beliefs about money. What you think, what you feel, you believe about your ability to create wealth. That's the real determinant of financial freedom. And until you master that, nothing else matters. You can make all the money in the world, and if your mind is not ready, it will slip through your fingers like water. Most people have a mindset of scarcity. They see money as something to fear, to chase, to worry about. Every time the paycheck arrives, anxiety comes first. Every time they think about the future, reclouds the vision. They grew up hearing money doesn't grow on trees, or you'll never get ahead, or the rich are different from people like us. And these are not just words, they are programming. Beliefs that create behaviors. They lead to decisions that keep people trapped in a cycle of living paycheck to paycheck, always hoping for a break that never comes. Now, let me be clear, I'm not here to make you feel guilty. I'm not here to shame anyone for where they are. We all start somewhere. The difference between those who struggle and those who thrive is that the wealthy, the financially free, understand one simple truth: money is a tool, not a threat. Before you ever hold the tool in your hand, you must hold it in your mind. You must first cultivate the belief that you are capable of creating abundance, that opportunity exists, that there is enough, and that you are not limited by your past, by your upbringing, or by the numbers in your bank account today. Changing your mindset is not some airy-fairy idea. It is an act of discipline. It is not easy because it means questioning everything you were taught about money. It means asking yourself hard questions. Why do I believe this about money? Why do I react with fear when it comes to investing, to taking risks, to asking for what I deserve? What stories am I telling myself that are keeping me small? Here's the powerful part. Once you identify those stories, once you shine a light on the subconscious programming that has been running your life, you gain the ability to change it. And when you change it, everything changes. Let me give you an example. You can have 2 people earning the same salary, living in the same city with the same opportunities. One person is constantly stressed, barely making ends meet, feeling like life is a battle. The other person with the same salary, steadily building assets, investing in themselves, and growing their wealth without feeling the pressure of every dollar. The difference is not luck. The difference is mindset. The second person sees money as a vehicle for freedom, as a means to create options, as something to manage intelligently, rather than something to fear or obsess over. And this mindset is built not overnight, but through daily choices. Every morning, you have the opportunity to feed your mind with beliefs that either empower or limit you. The books you read, the people you surround yourself with, the media you consume, the conversations you have, these all reinforce your beliefs about money. If your environment constantly reinforces scarcity, doubt, and fear, your mind will absorb that like a sponge, and your financial life will reflect it. But if you choose to surround yourself with examples of possibility, with mentors, with knowledge, people who see abundance, you start to rewire your mind. You start to expand your sense of what is possible. You start to act, think, and make decisions from a place of power rather than a place of fear. It's also critical to understand that your mind is not just influencing your actions, it is influencing your results at a fundamental level. Every financial decision you make is filtered through your subconscious beliefs. If you subconsciously believe, we'll never be wealthy, you will unconsciously sabotage opportunities, settle for less, or procrastinate on taking action. If you believe, I am capable, resourceful, and deserving of wealth, you will see opportunities everywhere. You will be willing to take calculated risks. You will seek out mentors, you will invest intelligently, and you will persist when challenges arise. And persistence is key, because the journey toward financial freedom is not a straight line. There will be setbacks. Investments will fluctuate, opportunities may fail. But when your mindset is grounded in belief and clarity, setbacks become lessons rather than disasters. You don't give up, you adapt, you learn, you grow. You understand that wealth is not built on luck. It is built on resilience, on smart decisions, and on an unwavering belief in your own capacity to create abundance. Another critical aspect of this mindset is gratitude. It may sound simple. Gratitude transforms the way your brain perceives resources. When you focus on what you already have, when you appreciate the money, skills, and opportunities in your life, your mind begins to attract more. Scarcity focuses on what is missing, what you don't have. Abundance focuses on what is present and what is possible. Gratitude is the lens through which the financially free see the world, and it changes how you make decisions, how you take action, and how you approach challenges. Finally, remember this: the mind creates the money before the money appears in reality. If you cannot first see yourself as wealthy in your mind, if you cannot first embody the habits, the focus, and the discipline of financial freedom, no strategy, no investment, no opportunity will ever make you truly free. Your mindset is the blueprint, the foundation, the engine of your financial future. And if you take the time to build it, nurture it, and protect it, everything else, the spending, the saving, the investing, protecting, will fall into place naturally. Because here's the truth: financial freedom is not a number. It is not a bank balance. It is a state of being. It is the inner certainty that you can handle life, that you can create, that you can grow, that you have the power to make choices without fear. And that state of being, that mindset, comes first. Always. So before you ever think about money in your pocket, think about the money in your mind and make sure it is abundant, it is empowered, it is unstoppable. That is where financial freedom begins. Now that your mind is aligned, that your beliefs about money are strong, it's time to confront the first rule, the rule that separates the financially free from everyone else. It sounds simple. Spend less than you earn, yet simple does not mean easy. In fact, this is where most people stumble, where dreams of freedom die quietly, unnoticed, in the small choices we make every day. You see, earning more money will never solve the problem if you don't have the discipline to control what flows out of your hands. Freedom begins with restraint, with mastery over yourself, over your impulses, over your habits. People live in the illusion of wealth. They see someone driving a new car, living in a beautiful house, traveling the world, and they assume that person is free. But appearances deceive. The reality is many people who look rich are drowning in debt, paying interest, living on credit, and one missed paycheck away from disaster. True financial freedom has nothing to do with how much you earn. It has everything to do with how much you keep, how wisely you manage it, and how intentionally you invest it. To spend less than you earn is not a punishment. It is an act of power. It is the decision to take control of your life rather than letting life control you. Every dollar you save is a dollar that buys freedom, a dollar that builds options, dollar that buys time. And here's the catch: it's not about depriving yourself. It's about learning the difference between what you want in the moment and what you want most in life. Most people choose instant gratification, the latest phone, the new gadget, the immediate pleasure, while their long-term dreams sit neglected. Financial freedom is built by those who can delay gratification, who can say, I will invest in my future before I indulge in the present. That is discipline. That is power. And let's be honest, discipline is uncomfortable. Discipline feels like denial when everyone around you is indulging. Discipline feels slow when the world promises instant reward. Discipline is the muscle that must be trained over time, with consistency, with awareness. Every time you resist an unnecessary purchase, every time you choose to save rather than spend, strengthening that muscle. And the stronger it becomes, the easier it is to make bigger, more impactful decisions in life. Decisions that lead to real financial freedom. But discipline alone is not enough. You must also know where your money is going. Tracking your spending is not glamorous, but it is essential. If you don't know how much comes in and how much goes out, you are flying blind, and flying blind with money is dangerous. You must confront the reality of your habits. Look at your statements. Look at your subscriptions, your dining, your impulses, your indulgences. See the truth. Most people are shocked at how much disappears without thought. Knowledge is power. So you see it, you can change it. Once you change it, you take control of your life. Now, here's the beauty of mastering this rule. It is universal. It doesn't matter if you earn a little or a lot. The principle is the same. $2,000 a month and spend $2,500, you are living in bondage. If you earn $20 a month and spend $21,000, the problem is exactly the same. Freedom is not measured by your income. It is measured by your ability to live below your means and direct the surplus toward growth. That is the first step in the journey of wealth, to create a gap between what you earn and what you consume, a gap that you can then invest, protect, and grow. Here's where most people fail. They think saving is enough. They focus on the amount, on the percentage, on the number in the bank. But financial discipline is not just about numbers. It is about habits. Habits are formed through repeated action and consistency. Every time you choose to prioritize your long-term vision over short-term desire, you are training yourself to think like a financially free person. Rewiring your brain to see opportunities instead of obstacles, to create leverage instead of living in scarcity. This is the work that most people never do, and that is why most people remain trapped in the cycle of living paycheck to paycheck. Let's talk about lifestyle. Most people fall into the trap of lifestyle inflation. The more you earn, the more you spend. You get a raise, and suddenly your expenses rise to match it. You get a bonus, and suddenly your purchases multiply. You think you are richer, but in reality, you are just running faster on the treadmill, never gaining ground. Financial freedom requires a different mindset. You must learn to resist the urge to inflate your lifestyle. As your income grows, savings and investments should grow faster. Your wealth compounds not because you earn more, but because you keep more and make it work for you. And then there's the emotional side of money. Most spending is not rational, it is emotional. Buy to feel better, to impress, to distract ourselves, to fill a void. Recognizing this is crucial when you can separate emotion from decision, when you can pause before spending and ask, is this necessary? Does this bring me closer to freedom? You gain control. Emotional mastery over money is the mark of someone who will not just earn, but thrive. It is the mark of someone who can create real wealth that lasts. Discipline also means having a plan. Random saving is not enough. Random restraint is not enough. You must create a budget, a system, a method for where every dollar goes. This is not restrictive. It is liberating. It is a declaration of control. It is saying, I am the master of my money, not the other way around. And once you have a system, it becomes automatic. Your habits reinforce your goals, and your goals shape your life. Every paycheck becomes a tool, every decision an investment in freedom. And here is the ultimate truth. Financial freedom is a habit long before it is a number. You cannot wish it into existence. You cannot hope it will arrive because the economy shifts, or because a job is stable, or because someone else decides to help you. It is built one decision at a time. Every time you spend less than you earn, every time you resist temptation, every time you take control of your finances instead of letting them control you, you are building freedom. You are building options. You are building a life where you answer to no one, where you create from abundance, where your choices are yours. So start today. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Stop waiting for more income. Stop waiting for some external miracle. Take control of what you can control. Track your spending. Cut what doesn't serve your vision. Delay gratification. Build discipline. And understand this: every dollar saved is a vote for your future freedom. Every choice made wisely is a brick in the foundation of your life of independence. Because at the end of the day, no amount of earning will free you if you cannot master this first rule. Discipline is the gateway to everything else. Master it. You have taken the most important step toward true financial freedom. Once you have mastered discipline, once you have created a gap between what you earn and what you spend, the next step is where the real power begins, the step where money stops being a tool of stress and becomes a vehicle of freedom. Because saving alone, while essential, is only the beginning. Saving creates the foundation. Multiplying what you save creates the structure, the strength, the leverage that builds lasting wealth. You see, most people confuse saving with building wealth. They believe that if they squirrel away a little each month, they are on the path to freedom. Savings alone, without growth, without compounding, without intelligent use, cannot outpace inflation, cannot protect you from setbacks, cannot create independence. To be financially free, you must learn the second rule: make your money work for you. Think about it for a moment. Every dollar you save is like a seed. If you just put it in a jar, it sits there. It is safe, yes, but it does nothing for you. It does not grow. It does not multiply. It does not create freedom. If you take that same dollar and plant it in a vehicle that grows through investment, through business, through real estate, through smart financial instruments, it begins to multiply. That seed becomes a tree. The tree produces fruit. Soon you have a forest. This is the power of making money work for you. And this is where the financially free separate themselves from the rest. They don't trade hours for dollars. They create dollars that work 24 hours a day. The key is understanding leverage. Leverage is not about taking unnecessary risks. Leverage is about amplifying your results while managing risk intelligently. It is about understanding that your time, your resources, and your money are finite. The opportunities to grow them are exponential if you act wisely. Every dollar invested wisely has the potential to create multiple returns. Every asset you acquire has the potential to generate more income than the initial cost. When you understand this, you no longer work for money. You let money work for you, and that is the essence of financial freedom. Many people fear investing because it seems complicated, because they do not understand it, because they worry about losing. Here's the reality: the greatest risk is not taking action. The greatest risk is letting your money sit idle while inflation erodes its value, while opportunities pass you by, while the world moves forward and you stay stagnant. Knowledge is the antidote to fear. Learn how to invest, learn how to evaluate opportunities, learn how to manage risk intelligently. The more you know, the more confident you become, and the more powerful your money becomes. And let's be honest, you do not need to be a genius to make this work. You need curiosity, persistence, and a willingness to start. Start small. Start with what you understand. Start where you are. The action you take today compounds over time. The small, consistent steps you take, investing even a modest portion of your savings, will create momentum. Over months and years, this momentum becomes a snowball, growing larger and faster until it is no longer just income you control. Income that controls opportunities for you. But multiplying what you save is not just about the numbers. It is about mindset. Again, if you view money as something to be hoarded, as something to be feared, as something limited, you will never invest it effectively. You must see money as a tool, as a servant, as a force that can work for you to create abundance. Every investment, every decision to grow your money is a declaration that you are taking responsibility for your future, that you refuse to be a victim of circumstance, that you are committed to creating freedom. And this mindset, combined with disciplined action, is unstoppable. Let me give you a concrete example. Imagine someone who earns a modest salary but invests wisely, perhaps in stocks, perhaps in a small business, perhaps in real estate. Over time, even small amounts grow significant. They are not waiting for a windfall. They are not hoping for luck, consistently making money work for them. Meanwhile, someone with a higher salary who saves but does not invest, or who spends without multiplying their resources, remains stagnant. The difference is not in the money coming in. It is in the strategy, the leverage, the intentionality of using money to create more. Compounding is the silent game changer. Interest, dividends, reinvested profits. These are not just numbers, forces that, when understood, can transform your life. They are the reason small, consistent actions today can lead to massive outcomes tomorrow. Yet most people ignore this power, dismiss it as irrelevant, or leave it to chance. Financially free do not leave it to chance. They harness it, direct it, and accelerate it. They understand that true wealth is not linear. It is exponential. And once you grasp this, your relationship with money fundamentally changes. Here's another critical piece: diversification. Multiplying your money does not mean putting all your eggs in one basket. It means understanding risk, spreading your resources intelligently, and creating multiple streams of growth. Relying on a single source of income is dangerous. Relying on a single investment is risky. Freedom is built by creating a portfolio of assets that generate multiple streams of income, each reinforcing the other, each providing security and growth. This is not complicated. It is deliberate. It is disciplined. It is intentional, and it works. But perhaps the most important element of multiplying what you save is action. Knowledge without execution is worthless. Planning without implementation is wasted potential. You can read every book, attend every seminar, listen to every expert, but if you do not take consistent, decisive action, your money will remain stagnant, your freedom will remain a dream, your life will remain constrained. Action is the bridge between intention and results. Discipline provides the foundation, knowledge provides the tools, but action turns potential into reality. And let me remind you, fear is natural. Doubt is natural. The uncertainty of investing, the possibility of loss, the hesitation to commit, these are part of the journey. But fear can be managed, doubt can be replaced with knowledge, hesitation can be overcome with small steps and consistency. The financially free do not let fear paralyze them, they let it guide them to learn, to prepare, to act strategically, and in doing so they create wealth, stability, and the freedom to live life on their terms. So take the money you have saved, no matter how small, and put it to work. Let it grow, let it multiply, let it become the engine of your freedom. Understand leverage, embrace compounding, diversify wisely, act consistently, and never forget that money is a servant, not a master. You do this, you are no longer trading hours for dollars. You are creating a system that generates opportunities, choices, and independence. And this, more than anything, is what true financial freedom is all about. Now that you've learned to discipline yourself and to make your money work for you, it's time to address a truth most people overlook. Wealth is fragile. It can be built, yes. It can also be lost faster than it came. That's why the third rule is just as critical. Protect and reinvent. Protect what you've earned. Guard it from unnecessary risks, from poor decisions, from complacency. And then once it is secure, reinvent it, expand it, grow it, leverage it to create new opportunities. Because the financially free understand a simple but profound principle. It is not enough to earn and multiply. You must also preserve and evolve. Most people think wealth is about accumulation alone. They focus on earning more, on getting that promotion, on making more sales, on chasing the next paycheck. But wealth without protection is like building a sandcastle at the edge of the tide. It can crumble at any moment. Emergencies happen. Markets shift. Life throws curveballs. Without a strategy to safeguard your money, all your hard work, all your sacrifices can evaporate in a heartbeat. Protection is not pessimism. It is wisdom. It is foresight. It is understanding that freedom is not just about growth. It is about security. Protection starts with eliminating destructive habits. Debt is the enemy of financial freedom. High interest debt, impulse spending, reckless financial choices erode your foundation faster than anything else. You must attack these habits with the same intensity you apply to growing your income. Pay off what you owe strategically, avoid new unnecessary liabilities, learn to distinguish between what is necessary for growth and what is merely consumption disguised as need. This is not about fear, it is about control. It is about creating a fortress around your future. Insurance, emergency funds, legal safeguards, these are the tools of protection. They may seem mundane, even boring, but they are critical. Life is unpredictable. Health crisis, job loss, economic shifts. They can destroy unprotected wealth in an instant. But when you plan, you shield what you've earned. You remove the fear that often dictates poor choices. Protection is the groundwork that allows you to take intelligent risks, to innovate, and to grow without the constant anxiety of losing everything. Then comes the second part, reinvention. Protection alone keeps you safe, but it does not create opportunity. To achieve true financial freedom, you must be willing to reinvent yourself. Your assets and your strategies constantly is changing faster than ever. Markets shift, technologies evolve, industries transform. Those who cling to old methods, who resist change, who assume yesterday's success guarantees tomorrow's security, are the ones left behind. Financially free people see change as opportunity. They adapt, they pivot, they take what they have and turn it into something greater. Reinvention also means seeking new streams of income. Diversification is not just a strategy for investments, it is a strategy for life. Relying on a single source of income, even if it is reliable, is risky. The financially free create multiple avenues of revenue, investments, businesses, intellectual property, partnerships, side ventures, all designed to generate value beyond the limitations of time and effort. Reinvention is about using what you built as a launching pad, not a destination. It is about turning stability into growth, growth into abundance. But reinvention is not easy. It requires courage, curiosity, and the willingness to step into the unknown. It requires challenging assumptions, learning new skills, and sometimes leaving comfort zones behind. Most people fear this process because it threatens their identity. They equate security with sameness. But the financially free understand that security is not static. It is dynamic. It grows when nurtured, protected, and applied creatively. It grows when you are willing to evolve. Another aspect of protection and reinvention is vigilance. Wealth is constantly under threat, not just from external forces, but from internal complacency. The longer you succeed, the easier it is to relax, to assume that what worked before will always work. But financial freedom demands continuous awareness. Regularly review your finances, reassess your strategies, evaluate your investments, and monitor your risk. This vigilance is not obsession. It is mastery. It is the difference between building something that lasts and building something that crumbles the first time the storm hits. And here's a subtle but profound truth. Protecting and reinventing wealth is also about mindset. You must value what you have earned, respect the effort it took, and treat it as a tool for further growth. You must balance ambition with prudence, risk with wisdom, and action with reflection. Those who understand this balance do not just survive economic storms, they thrive in them. They see opportunity where others see danger. They see potential where others see limitation. And in doing so, they create not just wealth, but freedom, choice, and impact. Reinvention also includes personal growth. Your financial strategy cannot be separated from your own skills, knowledge, and capabilities. The person you are today is not the person who will handle tomorrow's opportunities. Continuous learning, building, and adaptability are essential. The financially free invest not just in assets, but in themselves. They understand that the more capable and informed they become, the better they can protect, leverage, and expand their resources. You cannot outgrow your mind. Your growth dictates the growth of your wealth. One of the most powerful elements of this rule is resilience. Life will challenge you. Markets will fluctuate. Mistakes will happen. Protection and reinvention give you the capacity to respond, to adapt, and to rebuild. You will not crumble under setbacks because you have a foundation that is strong, diversified, and flexible. You will not fear change because you have learned to pivot, to reinvent, and to seize opportunity. And this resilience is what separates those who live in financial anxiety from those who live in freedom. And here's the ultimate point. Protection is not passive. Reinvention is not optional. They are active, deliberate, continuous. You be constantly aware of threats, ready to adapt, and willing to learn. You must create systems that safeguard your resources while simultaneously seeking ways to expand them. This is not a one-time effort. It is a lifestyle, habit, a way of thinking. The financially free live it every day. Every decision, every action, every investment is filtered through the lens of protection and reinvention. So remember, making money is only part of the journey. Saving money is essential. Multiplying it is critical, but protecting and reinventing it is what ensures that the wealth you've built will last and grow. It is what turns temporary success into lasting freedom. It is what allows you to sleep at night knowing that your choices are secure, your future is intentional, and your opportunities are limitless. Because at the end of the day, financial freedom is not just about what you earn or save. It is about what you preserve, how you adapt, and how you continually transform your resources into growth. Protect what you've built, reinvent what you have, and everything else. Stability, independence, choice, and peace of mind will follow. Now, if you've mastered discipline, made your money work for you, and learned to protect and reinvent it, there's one more transformation you must make to step fully into financial freedom. You must shift your identity from consumer to investor. This is not just a financial decision, it is a personal evolution. It is a fundamental change in how you see yourself, how you think about resources, and how you approach life. Most people live as consumers, and that is why they remain trapped in the cycle of work, spend, and worry. They are constantly exchanging time for temporary satisfaction, trapped in the endless pursuit of things that do not create freedom. The financially free understand that their identity defines their destiny. Being a consumer is easy, comfortable, and socially reinforced. The world tells you that happiness comes from consumption. Buy this, upgrade that, spend now, enjoy later. Social media glorifies lifestyles of spending. Advertisements pressure you into buying, and friends and family normalize patterns of indulgence. But consumption alone creates no leverage. It creates no freedom. It creates temporary pleasure by the same stress, the same limitations, the same lack of control. True freedom requires a radical shift in identity to see yourself as someone who invests in growth and opportunities in the future rather than just the present. Investing is more than stocks, bonds, or real estate. It is a mindset. It is a way of approaching every decision, every dollar, every moment. When you think like an investor, you ask different questions. Instead of, what can I buy? You ask, can I create? Instead of, how can I spend this? You ask, How can I make this grow? This shift in perspective changes everything. Every choice becomes intentional. Every action becomes a building block toward long-term freedom. Identity is powerful because it drives behavior. The person who sees themselves as an investor acts differently than the person who sees themselves as a consumer. One of the most profound lessons about identity is that it precedes results. You cannot become wealthy merely by mimicking behaviors or strategies. You must first become the person who naturally produces wealth. You must embody the habits, the focus, and the discipline of someone who creates and multiplies resources. That is why adopting the identity of an investor is not about learning a few techniques. It is about evolving into someone whose default orientation is toward growth, leverage, and opportunity. It is about internalizing freedom so that every action you take aligns with that vision. And this shift is not just about money. It is about choice, opportunity, and power. When you adopt the identity of an investor, you stop reacting to life. You stop letting circumstances dictate your options. Instead, you see opportunities where others see risk, possibilities where others see limitation, and paths where others see dead ends. This is why financially free people rarely remain passive. They are proactive, strategic, and relentless in seeking ways to create value and grow resources. The world rewards those who think long-term, who act deliberately, who see beyond the immediate gratification of consumption. Part of this identity shift is also about delayed gratification. Consumers live for the moment. They want now and they pay the price later. Investors understand the power of time, of patience, compounding. They understand that every dollar invested wisely today has the potential to generate much greater returns tomorrow. They understand that freedom is built by saying no to small pleasures now so that they can say yes to massive opportunities later. This is not sacrifice. It is strategy. It is the ultimate act of power because it places control firmly in your hands. Shifting from consumer to investor also requires courage. It is uncomfortable to resist societal norms, to question the pressure to spend, to redirect money that could bring immediate pleasure toward future growth. Fear, doubt, the lure of instant gratification are powerful forces. Most people succumb to them because they prioritize comfort over progress, appearances over substance, short-term pleasure over long-term freedom. Those who adopt the identity of an investor step into discomfort. They make decisions that may feel unusual, even unpopular, because they are guided by a higher vision of their life. They see beyond the temporary and embrace the long-term payoff. Another critical aspect of this identity shift is education. Investors are students of opportunity. They understand the markets, they understand business, they understand leverage and risk, and they continue to expand their knowledge. You cannot invest wisely without learning, without growing, without challenging assumptions and broadening your perspective. And this is the difference between random attempts and strategic actions. Knowledge combined with action creates power. Curiosity becomes a tool for freedom, and learning becomes a multiplier for your resources. And here's the profound truth: adopting the identity of an investor transforms your behavior automatically. Once you see yourself as someone who grows resources, creates leverage, who builds freedom, your habits begin to reflect that vision. You naturally save more, spend less on temporary indulgences, seek growth opportunities, and make strategic decisions. You stop comparing yourself to others who are trapped in consumption. You stop chasing appearances. You start focusing on substance. You begin to live intentionally, to plan strategically, and to act decisively. This identity shift also changes how you handle failure. Consumers see mistakes as disasters. Investors see mistakes as lessons, as data, as opportunities to improve and adapt. The financially free do not fear missteps. They analyze, learn, and redirect. This resilience is not just a skill, it is part of their identity. By seeing themselves as investors, they embrace a mindset of growth, adaptability, and opportunity rather than fear, limitation, and scarcity. And remember, this is not about being perfect. It is not about making every decision flawlessly. It is about adopting a consistent orientation toward growth and leverage, about creating patterns of thought and behavior that align with freedom, and about continuously refining your approach. Every small action, every investment in knowledge, every disciplined choice compounds over time to produce results far greater than any single decision could achieve on its own. Shifting from consumer to investor also means expanding your definition of wealth. Wealth is no longer just money in the bank. It is freedom of choice, security, options, and the ability to create impact. It is the confidence that you can handle whatever life throws at you, that you have the resources, skills, and mindset to thrive. This perspective changes your priorities, your decisions, and ultimately your life. You start to focus on what matters most: legacy and freedom. And here's the final point: identity drives destiny. If you want to live a life of financial freedom, you cannot merely learn techniques. You must become the person who naturally creates, preserves, and multiplies wealth. That is what separates those who dream of freedom from those who live it. Once you embrace the identity of an investor, every decision, every action, every choice becomes aligned with your vision of freedom. You no longer react to the world, you shape it. You no longer live in scarcity, you create abundance. So start today, step into the identity of someone who invests, who creates, who multiplies, who sees beyond consumption and into possibility. Begin to think like the financially free, act like the financially free, and live like the financially free. Your habits, your mindset, and your future will follow. And in that transformation, freedom ceases to be a dream and becomes a reality. We've talked about discipline, making your money work for you, protecting and reinventing it, and adopting the identity of an investor. And if you've absorbed all of that, you might be thinking, okay, I get it. I need money, strategy, intelligence to achieve financial freedom. But here's the profound truth that most people miss. Financial freedom is not about the numbers in your bank account. It's not about the size of your paycheck or the amount of assets you accumulate. Freedom is about choice. It is about having the power to live life on your own terms, to make decisions without fear, to act with clarity and intention rather than necessity. That is what money is for. That is the real currency of freedom. Think about the difference between someone who is financially wealthy but constrained and someone with moderate wealth but true freedom. The wealthy person may be trapped in obligations, in a lifestyle dictated by appearances, the need to maintain status or income. They may have a large house, luxury cars, and investments, yet their choices are limited by fear, stress, and responsibility. Meanwhile, someone with far less money, but with smart, disciplined, strategic investments, the mindset of freedom can make choices that align with purpose, happiness, and growth. This is the difference between having money and having freedom. Money is a tool, choice is the outcome. Freedom begins when your decisions are based on purpose, not necessity. Most people live in reaction. They take jobs they don't want, make purchases they don't need, tolerate situations they despise because they feel trapped. They trade their time, energy, and happiness for security, for a paycheck, the approval of others. But financial freedom changes that equation. It creates options. Suddenly, you can say yes or no with intention. Suddenly, you can prioritize your health, your relationships, your growth, your purpose. Money becomes a servant, not a master, and your life becomes a reflection of what truly matters to you. And here's the subtle, often overlooked point: choice requires clarity. You cannot exercise freedom if you don't know what you truly value. The financially free are intentional because they understand themselves. They know what matters, what brings fulfillment, what aligns with their vision. They allocate resources, time, and energy not to impress others, not to chase trends, to create lives that are meaningful, abundant, and self-directed. Freedom without clarity is chaos. Freedom with clarity is power. Another aspect of this is risk. Choice requires courage. True freedom comes when you can take calculated risks without fear of catastrophic loss. This is why every previous rule we've discussed, discipline, investing, protection, identity, matters. These principles create the foundation that allows you to make choices confidently. When your resources are protected, growing, and leveraged intelligently, you are free to pursue opportunities that may involve risk, challenge, or innovation. You no longer react from fear, you act from power. And that is the essence of living on your terms. Most people underestimate the value of time. They believe financial freedom is about accumulation, more money, more assets, more wealth. But in reality, the most valuable currency is the ability to decide how to spend your time. Time is the one resource that can never be replenished. Freedom allows you to allocate it consciously. You can spend it with loved ones, on growth, on experiences, on contribution. Purpose. Money facilitates this, but choice is what makes it meaningful. The financially free understand this, and they prioritize time over trivial luxuries, purpose over distraction, and impact over vanity. Freedom is not just personal, it is relational and generational. The ability to make choices influences your family, your community, and even your legacy. Financial freedom allows you to create opportunities for others, to invest in causes that matter, to teach principles of abundance and responsibility. Choice multiplies when it is shared. The decisions you make with intention ripple far beyond your own life, and that is why freedom is not just about comfort. It is about influence, impact, contribution. There is also a psychological dimension to freedom. Most people are enslaved by fear, by scarcity, by the endless pressure to earn more, do more, and keep up appearances. They may have money, but they are not free. Financial freedom begins when you internalize the fact that you are not defined by your resources, that you are not limited by external circumstances, and that your choices are not dictated by fear or obligation. True freedom is a state of mind. It is the ability to act, to decide, and to live in alignment with your highest values. And this brings us full circle. All the rules we've discussed, the discipline to spend less than you earn, the wisdom to make money work for you, foresight to protect and reinvent, the identity shift from consumer to investor, these are not goals in themselves. They are the tools, the training, the preparation. They are what allow you to unlock the ultimate prize, the freedom to choose. Because without choice, wealth is meaningless. Without autonomy, abundance feels like bondage. Without intentionality, success feels hollow. Freedom is not measured in numbers. It is measured in the ability to decide, to act, and to live as you choose. Here's the practical truth. Choice requires preparation. You cannot make meaningful decisions under pressure. You cannot create options if you have nothing to leverage. That is why every principle we've covered builds toward this moment. The moment when your life is no longer dictated by circumstance, when you no longer live in scarcity, when you are free to act from clarity, purpose, and empowerment. Freedom is the sum of all your decisions, amplified by strategy, discipline, and vision. Most people misunderstand risk and reward. They think freedom is about avoiding responsibility, avoiding challenges, or escaping stress. In reality, freedom is about creating the conditions where responsibility and opportunity coexist. The financially free embrace accountability, mastery, and action because these are the mechanisms that create choice. The more you control, the more you can decide. The more confident your decisions become. Freedom is not the absence of effort. It is the presence of options built through intentional effort. And here's the final insight: freedom compounds just like money does. Every wise decision, every disciplined choice, every act of learning, every investment in growth creates momentum. The more freedom you create, the easier it is to create more. The more options you generate, the more capable you become. The more autonomy you exercise, more confident your decisions are. Freedom is not static. It grows, evolves, and multiplies just like the wealth that supports it. So remember, the ultimate goal of financial freedom is not the balance in your bank account, not the portfolio of investments, not the assets you accumulate. Those are tools, instruments, and stepping stones. The real prize, the true reward, is the ability to choose to live without fear, to act with purpose, to pursue what matters most to you. Every principle, every habit, every strategy we've discussed is a pathway to this freedom, because at the end of the day, money is simply the instrument. Choice is the music. Master the principles, adopt the habits. The melody of freedom will play in your life every single day.